I'm very much a perfectionist, and it
It's
can be a problem.
it can be absolutely like sometimes you just have to complete a project or
Yeah.
uh and you get better all the time. But
Hmm.
yeah, I sometimes I try to be a bit of a perfectionist too, and it always comes back to bite me in the ass, or
Yes.
nothing ever gets done.
Yep. Like with my stuff, I'm always chasing the next step of like better. I'm
Right.
always doing it. It's like it's a grind. And I
It's
mean, I
the
guess it does matter and it does get me places, but like for what people see versus like what I'm doing, it's a completely unseen thing.
exactly when there's an outsider looking at your work versus you looking at your own work,
Mm,
it's quite different. Like it's the same way I look at my art.
yep.
I'll complete a piece and I'll be like, oh, I could actually change this and change that and fix this. But my clients are always really happy
Yeah,
with the work and
that's
they're like,
very
oh wow, it
true.
looks great. And then I look back on my first pieces and
I could
my
have done
my
this.
latest pieces are quite yeah, they're quite different,
Oh,
like
they're very
compared to my
polarized.
my my first pieces. So I there has been an improvement, but like it's hard for me to see that because I just look at my pieces all day.
Mhm.
But then when I go back to my first post on my social
Yeah.
media account, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a big
Hey,
difference.
there's some growth, isn't
Yeah, there is
there?
some growth.
Yeah.
So it's always good to look back and reflect.
It's
um,
definitely helpful. And like if you're somebody like as an artist, this is coming from my opinion, if you're somebody like me sometimes where it's like you get down on your own stuff, you're like, man, this is not as good as what it needs to be, and then you take a step back and it's like, yeah, I'm definitely moving in the right direction.
exactly.
I might
And it's
not be
like,
as far as I thought I needed to be at this moment, but like at the same time, like it honestly, where I'm at, I feel like a lot of the stuff's like more inadequate, but I'm gonna keep pushing it.
yeah, I mean that's all you can do. We all have to start from some place, right?
Yep.
And like when I look at, like, you do a lot of photography work, and when I look at your work, I'm like, wow, that's awesome, because I wish I could take photos like that, right? Like I like to play
Yeah.
around with my camera, but I can
Hmm.
never quite get it the way I want it. And I'm
Yeah.
sure like when you look at your own photos, you're always like, oh, the lighting could be like this, or the
Hmm.
composition could be like that. But from an outsider's perspective, like I think
Yeah.
it's really good.
I have to ask you, like, I don't know if this happens with your work, but like me working in a photo space and me working on a project for like a long time, it gets to the point where I see these details so often. I export it, let it be, like publish it, whatever, put it on Instagram, and I'll come back to it and I'll be like, man, that like image looks so muddy. Not actually muddy, but it's like the details that I thought were good before, like don't look as good to me. I'm like, I need to make this better. does that
Right.
does that happen to you? Because it happens to me like all the time.
It does sometimes happen to me, like, or I sit on it and I look back at it. If I've improved my work, like I
Yeah.
maybe it's a piece I liked at first and then I changed my mind. Like
Yes. That
I don't
happens to
like it as
me.
much.
Yeah.
It's also the platform, like I think like the medium through which you view it. Like
Yeah.
Instagram doesn't post the best quality
Yeah. Well, I mean,
pictures, so I think a lot of that quality is lost, like
yeah.
through the upload.
Mhm. Well, I honestly, if I even like put it on like a large screen, it's just like for me seeing it so many times, I'm like, this image is so old. It's gross. It's
And yeah, I guess it also depends. Like sometimes it's the opposite too. Like I'll be looking at an image and I like it, and I'll send it to a client, and they'll point out something like I didn't notice before because
that
I've been
definitely
looking at
happens
it for
too.
so long, right? I have blinders on, and
Hmm.
they'll say, oh, I think you could adjust that shadow like a little bit, and this could change this color,
Yeah.
etc. And I'll be like, oh, you know what, you're right. I never noticed that before, but now that you pointed out, like I can't unsee it.
Hmm. That definitely happens a lot for
Yeah.
me. I definitely noticed that with my work and clients who's like, that's really cool. And it's something like my mind just is like, woo, working on it, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this really good. Like this is making me like feel like it's coming together like I want it to.
Right.
And even if it's something that's not like necessarily something that needs to be added or bad, it's just something that somebody sees in it that just existed that I just did not notice.
Exactly. And I mean, I love getting feedback from my clients because
Oh yeah,
it's
for
what helps
sure.
me improve my
Hmm.
my work every time. So
Yeah.
I'm always open to feedback. And I know
Yeah.
some people, some of my clients are like a bit hesitant to give feedback because they're worried they're gonna like hurt my feelings or something, but honestly, I want them to be happy with the work that I provide them, and I want to improve it. So feedback is always appreciated.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. So I think that I'm gonna do an actual intro now.
sure.
So
How would that
this
work?
I'll just start out of here. We'll just do a one take, even if the intro's so late. But so for anybody that might happen to listen to this, or the, I don't know, the aliens in the future finding the relics of the human race. Um, this is the podcast that is still yet to be named. It's the unnamed podcast as of this moment. So what we deal with here are cars and creatives and like that stuff. Not limited to one or the other, but they're pretty kind of related, especially in this case. So we got Mr. Douglas. So yeah,
Oh,
how do you pronounce your names?
Douglas. A bunch of people call me by different names. Like some people call me Funky Ducky. I mean, I prefer not to be called Funky Ducky, but
Okay.
that's one nickname. I call DJ Fresh.
All right.
But I usually go by Doug or Douglas.
All righty. Cool. And
Yeah.
you are what on Instagram? I'm plugging you right now.
So I am the Architect's Garage. I am an art page that focuses on cars and architecture. But I've also dabbled in a few other subjects. So
Yeah,
I'm open to all sorts of things.
I hear you. As an artist,
Yeah.
like I find myself doing so much random stuff. I'm like, it's so fun.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like
Creatives.
it's what makes it a lot of fun. Like just
Hmm.
switching it up a little bit. Like as much as I love cars and architecture,
Hmm.
sometimes I like to do the odd project that goes away from that
Yeah.
path. So
So how long have you been doing it? I think. Well, let me ask first. Your Instagram
mm,
page. I remember you following me and me following you when you were like probably like 100 followers, and you've grown quite a bit in I think the last 2 years.
yeah, I'm at 8,000 as of I guess yesterday
Holy
now.
crap!
It's grown. Yeah, I didn't expect it to grow like this. And
That's
I do
crazy.
remember you being an early follower. I can't remember how early that was though. Yeah, so
It
100
was
or so
very much in
followers,
its
that's
infancy.
very early. Um I believe I started this page, oh god, 2020 then. It must have been
Oh, was it?
February,
Oh
February
crap!
or March,
Man, my timeline is just okay.
something
You're
like
you're
that.
right. I'm just the wrong one.
I mean, I'm losing track of time with the pandemic too. Like, I don't even know what
Yeah,
day it is anymore. So,
yeah.
um, yeah. So I finished my master's um, in early 2020, and I came back from Toronto. I flew to Vancouver, which is where I'm originally from, and I've been living there ever since. And with the pandemic starting and a lot of people uncertain with the current job market,
Mhm.
I decided that now would be a great time to, well, as a freshly graduated student, now would be a great time to focus on like some of my hobbies and some of my passions.
Yeah,
Since the job market wasn't looking too great, I thought I would take a couple month break and just see how things pan out.
yeah.
So I started this page just as a way to share art with friends and family.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to turn into anything significant. It was just going to be a personal page
Yeah.
for people that are close to me. So I started, sharing some of my digital art online. I focus a lot on digital
Mhm.
because I find that it's easier for me to fix my mistakes.
Yep.
And I also didn't have the space at the time to have like canvases or paint.
Mhm.
Like a bit large studio. So digital was kind of a medium that I was drawn to.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and so I think in the first 2 months of having this Instagram page, someone had contacted me and said, "Do you take commissions?" I was like, I never thought anyone would ask me
I
for
mean,
a
maybe.
commission, but I was like, that sounds exciting. So
Yeah.
I said yes, and I did a piece for them, and they really liked it. And so that got me thinking that, oh, maybe this could be like a viable business because the current
Mhm.
job market wasn't looking that
Yeah,
great at the time, and
for sure.
I was like, okay, well now I need to start making a little bit of a little bit
Yeah.
of money, and
Helpful.
I need to pay bills, and
Mhm.
and I love doing art, so
Mhm.
I started producing more and more each month, and I at the time I still was getting very many commissions, maybe like one or two,
Mhm.
maybe at some points three a month. Um, but after I would say five 5 months or so of doing this, I was getting like it was going up to like 10 commissions a month, 15 and 20.
Damn, that's
So
good growth.
yeah, so it's really good growth. So now it's at a point where it's hard to actually keep up
Yeah,
with
that's
the
not a bad place
commissions.
to
So
be.
it's not a bad problem to have. So
Yeah,
the only thing is
that's
sometimes I have people asking, "Hey, have you got around to my art piece yet?" And I'll say,
yeah,
I'll say something like, "Well, they got 10 more orders ahead." So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good place to be because at that point you can start raising your price up a little bit and kind of start sorting through the people you really truly want to work with more.
Exactly. It allows me to be a bit more picky about the
Hmm.
kind of work that I take on, but it also allows me to spend more time on each piece.
Yeah,
So raising the price also raises the quality
for
of the
sure.
piece. It
Hmm.
takes a little longer because I put much more detail
Yeah,
nowadays into my pieces, but it's a win-win for both the client and myself. So
yeah, definitely, definitely,
yeah,
definitely cool.
yeah.
So I don't know how to describe it. Your work has a very like distinct look. It's it. Would you call it modern?
Yeah, I guess like you know what, I'm no art expert myself,
Yeah,
but maybe yeah, contemporary or minimalist
yeah,
in a way. A lot of very like solid colors. Like I don't do a
yeah.
lot of blending, like it's very hard edged.
Hmm.
Um I do add a bit of texture
Yeah.
in the end of the piece. So I was playing around with it at one point. I was switching between pure solid colors, and then as time went on I got into a little more texture,
Mhm.
which I thought added a bit of depth to my pieces. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing now.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, a lot of it, like part of it is my style as an artist, but the other part I guess is like what I work with. So I work with Adobe Illustrator
I was
for
just
a
gonna
lot of
ask
my
what
work.
programs are you using. I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be Illustrator though.
Yeah. So the software that I use is, it also comes from like my background in
Mhm.
architecture. So when I was going to
Oh
school,
yeah, I forgot you did architecture. My
yeah.
bad.
So that
I'm a
so
bad
actually
listener
that's
apparently.
no. I mean, I could be a bad listener, so not a worry at all. Um, but yeah, actually that's where the name came. The
Makes
Architect's
sense.
Garage. So I'm not a licensed architect, but my education is in architecture. So I
Okay.
thought, oh, what would be a name that kind of combines, these two topics that I'm really interested in?
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, the Architect's Garage, sounds like something that would work.
Hmm.
I liked how it sounded, so that's what I ended up with.
For sure.
But yeah, like when I was in school, we were using software like Blender. We were using Rhinoceros, like 3ds Max, like AutoCAD.
I've used none of those except for AutoCAD. Like one
AutoCAD,
time
yeah,
in like
that
high
like
school.
high school, yeah, you'd have like a drafting class, yeah.
Yep.
So we used we I had it in high school, so I had a drafting class in high school. So we used AutoCAD. I don't use it as much nowadays. I'm using like Revit and Rhino, which are other programs for design work.
Mhm.
And then Photoshop. So my
I do
work kind of falls
Photoshop.
into, yeah, you do a bit of, yeah, I can imagine with your background in photography. Uh, so you're probably quite familiar with this program. Um,
Yeah, I know a
so
decent number of ins and outs.
yeah,
Illustrator I've gotten pretty decent with too.
you might know more than I do in the Photoshop realm too. So
Possible.
so yeah, because I don't use it actually a whole lot for
Mhm.
photographs, but a lot of it, I use it for a lot of my art.
Mhm.
Um, so my art's kind of split up into like three stages.
Mhm.
So I actually don't draw the outlines in Illustrator,
Oh really?
as many people would think. Yeah, most people think I would draw the lines in Illustrator.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually draw the lines in the program called Rhinoceros 6,
Okay.
which is kind of like a AutoCAD program, but you can work at 3D too, um,
Huh.
which is unconventional. But I was so used to like working with the line
Yeah.
work in that program that I started using that first. And at the time, I wasn't as familiar with Illustrator, so it
Yeah.
ended up being that I would use Rhino to do all the line work first, import it into Illustrator, and then I would do all my coloring and shading in Illustrator.
Yeah.
Um, and from there, like doing a bit of post production work in Photoshop, like adjusting the lighting and adding the
That's funny
texture.
because I never would have guessed that's what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what Rhino is. I've never used it before. So I mean, granted, I wouldn't know, but
Yeah, if you're
I
not in
would have thought it was
architecture or
purely an Illustrator start to finish.
yeah, if you're not in industrial design, architecture, or even actually like I think it's used in a lot of car modeling too, but I'm
Yeah.
sure they have their own software. That's not my field, so I'm making
See,
assumptions, but
it incorporates your name a little bit more into your work. I mean, you
yeah,
really are
so
using the architect's software to
exactly.
make
So
the
I thought
cars.
I thought, oh, it's kind of I'm kind of justified it in a way.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't need to justify it, but I
Yeah.
thought, oh, that's my excuse for using it,
Yeah.
right? So I thought, oh, it's appropriate for a page called the Architect's Garage.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's how I that's a lot of how my artwork is made. Um, and with a lot of my clients being around the world,
Mhm.
the digital format also works really well for me, being able to send it to them. Um,
Yeah.
and it
I,
saves a lot of costs for them
I see
and
that.
for me, right? No shipping costs when I'm sending
Hmm.
high resolution files instead via email
Hmm.
that they can have printed at their local print shop. Because if
Yeah.
they ordered from me, the shipping would be a little bit extra, and
Yeah.
it might get lost. And
If it's coming to the US, they'll be made sure to get messed up at the USPS. Just so
yeah,
you know.
exactly. I actually do. The US is one of the few places I actually do ship physical prints to.
Yeah.
So
Well,
for the
it's not
most part,
that
like
far away though, too.
yeah, it's not that far away. Like I don't ship any physical prints to like Europe. Even in Canada, unless the person lives like in
Pretty close.
Vancouver nearby, I actually don't ship to Canada either at the moment.
Yeah.
The reason I ship in the US is I have a printer in New York,
Okay.
and she's been fantastic. It's the name of the print shop is Berg Inc. And so she
BURG?
Berg.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's been shipping everything for me from there. So I send
Yeah.
her the file and she prints it, and then ships to my clients in the US. And she's fantastic. Like she's
Yeah.
always
I,
she's reasonably priced, and she gets the print to clients on time. So
yeah, let's take a moment to recognize our printers and to send them some appreciation. I have a local one too that I use for like work for my portfolio that I give away. That I mean, it's rare that I sell prints, but still, like when I do sell smaller stuff, I use them. Like prices are awesome. They're literally right next town over. Um, I've had it where I had to go on a trip out to Ohio, and I'm like, hey, would you be able to get these printed like today? And thankfully they were able to. I mean, honestly, they've pulled me out of a few pinches before. It was like
oh,
100 prints or
fantastic.
something. I was like, hey, can you take care of this?
You
They
should
did.
sell more of your prints. They're your photos are fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
I
Yeah.
I could see you getting like a larger client base, even
Mhm.
having like calendars or something of your photos. So
That's a funny thing that you say. Calendars. I never realized how many people were just so obsessed with calendars. I have
yeah, I
so
get
many
that
people
request
like,
a lot
you need to make
actually.
a calendar. It's like it's a calendar though.
A lot of people ask me to do that too.
Yeah, like, I guess it makes sense because then you see it every day, and
Yeah, and
depending on your job.
some people, don't use their digital calendars on their phone. Some people still like
Yeah.
the physical touch of
Mhm.
paper. It's like the same when I'm writing down notes. Like I don't like to write notes on my phone. I like to write them down on paper.
I
Um,
do a bit of both.
yeah, I do record notes on on my phone, but
Mhm.
if I get the chance, I always use my notebook over my
Yeah,
phone. There's just something about the physical touch of paper. It's just nice to have. Yeah,
I've got
like
a
that.
whole entire like sketchbook of just like text that I just write down, like even like if it's like to-dos and stuff.
I love
These
the cover.
notebooks for me are like the best because they're thick paper, and like I'm such a hard writer. It's just it feels so good.
Yeah, you don't rip through the paper.
And I use my handy dandy, can't remember the name of it, but they're like drawing pencils,
Oh, those
replaceable.
are oh yes. I recognize those.
They're nice.
They are nice.
They're
And you could be
expensive though.
messy, and
Yeah.
it's the same like with drawing, right?
Hmm.
Or in architecture when we're designing buildings.
Yeah.
You start out with pen and paper or pencil and paper. It's
Yeah.
great because unlike the computer, the pencil and paper, you could be really messy
Mhm.
with it. And that's kind of how you have to be at the beginning of the
Mhm.
design process. It's very conceptual. It's not set in stone.
Mhm.
So it's nice to have that. Like the digital world is great for design, for art, but I like to start out sometimes on paper because it just lets me jot my ideas down really fast.
Mhm.
I can't quite do the same thing on a computer. It's just too accurate, I
Mhm.
would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
For like the fact that you can just be like nice fluid and you just kind of can keep sculpting it. And you
Mhm,
can
you
do it on a
refine it.
computer. My sister
Yeah,
does like computer art, but like it's for me, that medium has never been something I can like really use and like enjoy. Is that
right.
it's
I see it
too
like as
difficult
a
for me.
it's kind of a way to like finalize something. Like you have the idea now,
Yeah.
you've come up with all the details. Okay, now we can, finalize it in the computer.
Mhm.
Um, so I find the computer great for that, but just
For
for the
drafting.
initial drafting, pencil and paper always wins for me.
That would totally make sense.
Yeah.
I feel okay, so I went to school for graphic design and business, and I only got an associate's. I didn't even finish my business associates because I got fed up with school. But I I really went there just for the skill sets. So like that just explain my mindset why my decision making is what it is. I never cared about the piece of paper. I just want to get the skills so that I could run my own business and I can do everything I need to because I'm not looking for somebody to hire me because I have this piece of paper. I want them to hire me because I have the skills and I can produce what I need to. So
Right.
bare bones, I guess, maybe if you want to call it. I don't know.
Well,
Simple
it also
though.
depends on what your previous experiences too, right? Like outside of school.
Yeah.
Like you have experiences in other fields or doing like doing photography and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that
Well,
can also be applied.
I'll give you a little bit of background for like me. So
Yeah.
I started doing photography more of like a playing, but a little bit more seriously, like once I was in like ninth grade, maybe 10th grade, because that's when I got my first camera. It was a first DSLR. And I got it as a toy, and like the more I did it, the more I was like, this is kind of cool. And then I started to like dabble in like to like shooting projects for people. Like, I wanted to get into like portraiture because I get paid for it. And I
Right.
kind of did that throughout high school. I shot senior portraits my junior, my senior year. So it was kind of cool being a senior and people were going to you. It's like, hey, you want to do it? It's like, yeah. I probably had like 6 jobs just because I knew people. And some context too. My class that I graduated was 36. So it's a pretty decent chunk of the class.
Yeah.
I
It's a
mean,
good size.
for me.
It
But
depends on where you are.
yeah. And I thought out of school, or when I was in school earlier, I thought I'd just go for like engineering or something that made a lot of money. Like, not that I had any interest in it, I just thought money. And I got to my senior year, I'm like, well, I kind of enjoyed doing all these pictures and stuff. Maybe I'll get into like wedding photography. And I remember for a yearbook, I wrote in there, your aspirations is like, probably a wedding photographer. And then if I, for whatever reason, have a time or the ability to, automotive photographer. Like, honestly, like I wasn't even like that serious about it. I like, well, they make a lot of money. It's cool. I mean, it's cool. And I didn't do much of any of it. I shot a few pictures of my cars and I had some on Instagram, like nothing serious.
Right.
And then fast forward, like over the next few years, I was doing a lot of portraiture work and I liked it. And then I started doing more car stuff. And eventually it just kind of like clicked in my head. I'm like, why am I doing so much portrait work and like trying to make this work and find the clients for this if this is not really what like I click with as well? Like, I'm not saying I did a bad job with it at all. Like, I felt like I was adequate for it, but like as an artist, when you have like that flow state, like it clicks, everything just like works. You're
Right.
not like disengaged in any way. Like a portraiture, I'd feel awkward trying to pose somebody. It's like, oh, do this with your hand. I'd be like, oh, it looks terrible, but I'll just take the picture. it was like that. I was like, I hate posing people. I'm like, I'm not good at it. I'm trying to learn, but like it got better, but not that great. You know, for an example, we all know on Instagram, like the women that shoot weddings exclusively. When you find a good wedding photographer, specifically in this case, a lot of women, you can find people that are super good with it, but like they click, like they
Right.
they
They
mesh with
they
it all the
they
time.
know it feels natural.
Yes. For me, I wanted to do that, but it just didn't. And then I kind of realized that it was cars. Doing pictures with cars was just like it went from like being able like being technically good with a camera to starting to like make good images that like I could really just work every aspect out, like just massage it out to what I want it to be. And that's what was holding me back with portraiture.
Right. And you're in charge of it. It's the vehicle. You can position it any way you like,
Yes.
and you don't have to ask it to do
Yep.
stuff for, which
And
is awesome.
and I don't feel embarrassed with it like looking odd or something. It's like, you know what, if it doesn't
Right.
work, I'll just move it, whatever. There's no feelings
Right.
attached to it. I was like so self-conscious about it. I'm like, does that feel weird? And like, yeah, well, we'll just do it for the picture because sometimes it sometimes awkwardness makes better pictures, which is sometimes true, but sometimes it doesn't.
That is
And in my
true.
case, it was kind of hit or miss.
Depends on the
More
context.
so miss.
So I have to ask you then, like, what got you into like the automotive world
All
to
right.
begin with?
So I would say I was always in the cars for like a long time. And I never really took it that seriously, which is kind of funny because now I take it very seriously and making a career out of it. So it's funny in that regard to myself. But so my dad was into cars ever since I wasn't born. He had okay, so my dad's into Pontiac cars very exclusively. I wouldn't call him a boomer, but like he sleeps and breathes those ones specifically. Not very diverse, but whatever, cool. But he knows like the ins and outs. So,
Right.
sorry, I have was texting me. But so I was always around it. Like he had like this one car, that convertible, that red 67, if you remember that by chance. That was his
I've
car.
seen a picture of it. Yes. It's
He bought,
beautiful.
thank you. He bought that out of Ohio like in 2000. And that was like his project here forever. And it just, life happened and it kind of went on the back burner and he finally finished it. But like he had that for a long time. He had a blue 67 that he got married in when he was in high school. I think he had like I think a 77 Firebird Esprit. He had a Formula in between there that he sold for his honeymoon. So anyway, he's had a lot of like Firebirds. It's really Firebirds. And eventually he got a GTO. So then he had two and then he sold one, whatever. But
The problem of too many.
yes. Yep. And I guess there's definitely pictures of me trying to like work on the cars and pictures. I was like 3, just laying on my back, like, wow. But I don't know. I guess that's probably kind of what got me into it. And we always talk about cars, and that's probably kind of what got me the kick. And
Right.
eventually, I really broke away from his zone of stuff. And I'm glad that I did. I very much diversified significantly. When I was younger,
I can see in your pictures.
I used to like when I was younger, I'd have all the Hot Wheels, and I thought like so many cars were cool. And I remember some of his friends being like, "Oh, well, I thought that the Ford Shelby, like the '65 Shelby GT350s, were cool. Oh, he must not be a Pontiac guy or something like that. Like he likes other cars. He likes a Ford." It's like, but I felt bad, and it's like, yeah, I did, and I still do. I just like a lot of cool stuff, and I started
Good to
off
have a
with
variety.
yeah, I did Firebirds at first, and eventually I'm like, why am I just limiting myself to this one pool? And I deliberately diversified. But yeah, I guess my background and like my interest in cars came from my dad, and then I guess me just enjoying dabbling with a camera really just they eventually just mixed, and then they just took off because I liked it.
Right. Makes total sense.
How about for
Childhood
you?
nostalgia is a strong one.
Yeah.
I would say like I kind of followed a similar path.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of it for me is also like childhood nostalgia.
Yeah.
So I grew up, my family drove Volvos, like it was mainly my dad who was the like influence. He had his first car was like it was either a 740 or a 760. I can't remember exact one, but it was a turbo
He's still driving it to
wagon.
this day.
Yeah, I wish he had that still, but he doesn't. But
Yeah.
when I was young, my mom and my dad had a red Volvo 850, and at one point my dad had a 244 turbo. Um, he now has a 1960s Amazon and a blue Volvo 240 wagon. I believe a B50. So it's just had Volvos pretty much his
Yeah.
whole life, and I grew up in them, right? Mainly the 240. Like I spent a lot of time in a 240, so
Mhm.
the 240 is kind of what I gravitated to. So I've owned, well, currently I think it's too many right now, but I own 4 Volvo 240s.
Dang.
So I'm in, so I'm in that area where I'm like I'm stuck with like one car, even one car like model,
Yeah.
my whole life. Um, and well, actually, I'm selling 2 of them right now. I'm in the process of selling 2 of them right now because it's just too many. I just want two cars, and that's it for me for now.
Mm. Yeah.
But yeah, I really got into Volvos through my dad. We never worked on any of them together, but I just bought my own,
Mhm.
and I'm not mechanically like I'm not that mechanically knowledgeable. Oh, but I'll tinker on them a little bit here and there and
Yeah.
try and get them working. I'm learning more and more all the time about them. Um, I actually did own a American car.
Mhm.
So I have had more than just Volvos. I owned
Yeah.
it for a brief amount of time. I owned a Ford Pinto.
Really?
Yeah, I had a Ford Pinto for a couple months.
Was it like bronze or tan?
It was like yeah, it was like a brownish red color, and it was like the last year. I think it was the last year of the Pinto, and it had a glass hatch. Like that's what really drew me to the car first was this just
Yeah.
all glass hatch. It's kind of like the Volvo P1800 ES, or is it
What's the-
SE? If I tried to remember, but it's all glass, right?
Oh,
You know
the
the
wagon
hatch, the
weird. Yes,
wagon
yes,
version. Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, and it has that glass hatch.
Hmm.
Yeah, this one had something similar, minus the like it didn't have like a one of those drainage channels, like 'cause it was an economy car. And
Yeah.
so after a rain, when you opened up the hatch, all the water would just go down and into the car. It's like, ooh, that's pretty bad, but it was a fun car to have. And it was my first carbureted car, and I did I did sell it after. It was mainly just like supposed to be a fun little project between me and my friend,
Yeah.
just to work on a little bit. And so we've been kind of buying cars,
Mhm.
fixing them up a little bit, and then selling them. So I like this because I don't have to commit to any one particular car, and it's fun to tinker on them,
Yeah.
and then someone else can enjoy it. So it allows me to try out different
Yeah.
vehicles that I wouldn't
Different
otherwise.
flavors.
Yeah, different flavors of vehicle. I never
Mhm.
thought I would have a Ford Pinto. My family's all like, "Oh my god, you're gonna like someone's gonna rear end you and you're gonna blow up."
Well,
Like,
I mean, I can assume that things went well enough and yours didn't explode, or at least not when
yes,
you owned it.
no, and it was the last year of the Pinto too, so it, they had fixed that already. That problem, I think it
Yeah.
was like the filler neck, which would rip off, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
reinforced the tank. So, but it already had the stigma from the earlier
Oh,
models. So
definitely.
yeah, so the reputation had already been ruined. Um,
That's funny.
yeah.
But now that you say that, my background is a little bit different. I did tinker on cars with my dad, but like that was mostly when we decided to restore my car. So he actually bought that car as a haul to restore his 67. And then he realized it was too nice of a car to gut and, mangle up, I guess.
Right.
So I think my mom was pregnant with me. So he kind of decided it would be my car.
Oh, cool. So he knew
So
like from the beginning. He's like,
yeah,
"You're
I was
gonna
kind
be
of
a car
born
guy."
into it apparently. And it was at the time it was when he bought it, it was a full car. It was not original. Like those cars, Camaros and Firebirds at the time, everything was tinkered with and swapped. Hot
So
rodding
it's
in
like
America
today's
was
Honda
crazy.
Civic.
Yes, exactly. It's had a
There's no
bunch of
like,
owners. You
yeah.
can't trace anything to anybody. It's just what it is. Deal with it.
It has character.
Yes. It had an engine swap already done in it. I think it had a transmission. Yeah, it definitely had a transmission swap. I think somebody swapped the rear end in it, which actually worked in my favor. So my dad bought it as like as a project car, and I think probably like 96 or so. And originally car was a straight six car. I'm sure they're gutless as all can be for a carbureted engine back in 1968. But it was a straight six with a 3-speed Saginaw transmission behind it, so it was a standard. I'm assuming it probably came from the factory with an open diff, but I don't actually know that for certain. But what I do know is it does have a posi traction rear end in it now, ever since my dad had it. And we swapped in a 326 V8 in there, a Pontiac one. And I have a 4-speed too. So it's a little bit fun.
A lot of
You can
fun
go
to rip
sideways
around.
with it. Yes. I've thrown it around in the dirt a little bit. It's kind of what the
In the
Volvo's
snow too?
for. Not
Oh,
the
is that what
snow.
not the snow?
The
It's too
Volvo's
nice to
gonna
be in the
do it.
snow.
The Volvo's
You have
gonna
a
do it.
that Volvo you have, that's a 245 turbo? Is that what you have?
Yes.
Those are hard to find nowadays. I
It-
can't find any in my
I'll tell you a
area.
story if you want. So my love for 240s probably came from a different place from you. I had no connection to a 240 whatsoever. My first exposure to a 240 was in Gran Turismo 4. Somehow I acquired this yellow brick. It looked like this most stupid thing in the world. And then, as me just making fun of it, put a spoiler on it, some stupid wheels, and upgraded it, drove it. I thought it was just a joke. And then what was really funny was then I started picking up on them in public. I had this
Yeah.
video on my PS3. That's where I stored them. I was in like 6th grade, maybe. Yeah, 6th or 7th grade. So I was a little munchkin at that point. And I had my little Vivitar camcorder and I'm filming this roof line of a station wagon outside of my dad's truck. I'm like, it's my Volvo. And like my prepubescent voice was awful. And I'm like fake crying too. My mom's like, look, babe, it's your future car. I'm like, it's like the most clapped out like 91 Volvo ever. It was somebody's winter beater too.
Oh yeah, they tend to be like
Blue.
beat to crap, most
Yep,
of them.
blue with the gray bumpers, probably missing a bunch of hubcaps, all that good stuff. And it's just like one of those stupid things. For whatever reason, I thought they were kind of cool at that point, but I think it was kind of a joke at that point. But I kind of wanted one.
You like love
Yeah.
them or you hate them, really.
Yeah,
It's an acquired taste.
yes, it really is.
I mean,
I didn't think
that's
they were
like
sexy off the bat.
no. I mean, that's like with my friend. He has a Woody. Well, he had a Woody paneled K car.
Oh, really?
Like,
Cool.
have you ever watched Trains, Planes, and Automobiles? It's like the one that they burn to the ground.
Oh, really?
And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, man, it's so crappy. I love it. Like I want one.
Yep,
Like
yep.
it's hilariously bad. And but that's kind of what draws me to some of these cars, like the
yeah.
unloved and the weird and the quirky and like the stupid. And I'm like, I love that. And I'm just drawn to like, my friend and I were looking at getting like an AMC Pacer, like the one that you would see in Wings.
Oh
Or
boy.
it's so stupid, but it's so cool. Like I love it. I just want to
If
go
your
and drive
Pinto
this thing.
experience wasn't good enough.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go get it. Next we'll be getting a Gremlin or who knows what.
Oh,
right?
Those things are funny. All those cars. They're like
They're
all
just hilarious.
they're all in the same genre of weird
Yeah,
hatchbacks.
they are from like American companies in the 80s. And I mean, but I find that to be more interesting than say like a supercar. As much as I love supercars too, like
Yeah.
they're cool, but I like it doesn't catch my eye as much.
It's like
as,
less relatable.
It's less relatable because I'm like, oh, I see a lot of supercars around. Like you'll see a bunch of brand new Lamborghinis or Ferraris around, and they're cool. But
Holy shit, a 240.
Yeah, holy shit, like a clean 240. Like, wow, I haven't seen like one of these for a
Rust-free.
while. rust free. It's like, yeah, none of my cars are rust free.
Yeah, mine's not.
I'm hoping
Oof.
to get like I'm trying to get a rust free one, and it's just like, no, there are none available. Um,
Yep.
the gray one that I'm selling, this I have this gray 245 wagon. It's like one of my most rust free cars, but I'm selling it. So hopefully
Maybe
the
you
new
put
owner
that
takes
good
care of it.
karma into like the next one. Like maybe if you moved along the good one, something better will come along.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to sell half my collection so I can use that money to restore my other two 240s. That's kind of the reason I'm getting rid of half of them, because it's like I instead of 4 half working cars, I would like 2 fully functioning
That
cars.
that's a good idea, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I understand liking to have multiple, but at the same time, when like if you can make the quality of the ones you really enjoy driving that much better,
Exactly.
it'll probably be worth it.
Yeah, like I'm keeping two. I have this black two Volvo 245, and it's my first car I ever owned, so I can never sell that one. And also, it's pretty rust free.
Mhm.
It doesn't have very much rust at all. And then I recently bought this blue 242
I saw that.
GLT. Yeah, it was
I
like
think it's so cool.
it's cool, but it absolutely looks like completely clapped out. Like it wasn't even for sale. My friend found it abandoned, like parked on the street somewhere in Vancouver,
That's
and
pretty cool.
like the window was smashed out because someone tried to break it and steal it. But there's no battery in it, so they couldn't take off with it. And like the front
That
light
poor
headlights missing, and
240.
it was covered in moss. And then my friend's like, he sent me this picture. He's like, look what I found on the street, and he's like, you should buy it. I'm like, hell no. I'm not buying another Volvo. And then he's like,
Buys
well, you
another
should think
Volvo.
about it. Yeah. And then he's like, well, go take a look at it with me anyways. I found the owner, like they live across the street.
Yeah,
And he would start talking with him. I'm like, okay, I'll take a look at it. And then I went to go see it. I'm like, I actually want that. So I ended up buying it.
that's
I'm like,
how it
why did
goes.
I know? And
It's
it's
self-control.
the no
Ooh.
self-control, right?
Yeah.
So I cleaned up all the moss off of it. I put the headlight back. I put a new window in it. I haven't done much else with it since, but it's gonna get some work done to it. I want it to be ready by the summer just so I can enjoy it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just bought it because it has rust, but it doesn't have like it's salvageable. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's rusted to the chassis or anything, but it has like rust around the wheel arches and whatnot that could be repaired. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's why I bought it.
That thing looks so cool, like honestly. Even with the moss on it, so
Yeah,
cool.
it's really cool, and it's lowered a little bit. Like the previous owner did lower it, and it's on
Yeah.
Bilstein shock, so it handled. It's
Oh
like
crap.
fun
Somebody
going
actually
around. And it's
cared about that at
IPD.
one point
Yeah,
and they
they
just let it
did.
go to
Like
crap.
they just let it go. It's the same
They
owner
don't
that did like
deserve it.
all this. I know it's like they put all this work into it. They put like IPD sway bars on it and all this
Wow.
cool stuff. And then there's just like, yeah, I bought this 850R and then I just stopped driving the 242. So
Okay, the 850R is a pretty good
it's pretty
alternative.
cool. It's pretty cool, but I'm like, why would you let the 242 sit outside for the like past 5 years? Like
I mean,
you should have just sold it while
the
it was in
242s
good
are
shape.
kind of cool. I feel like those are going to be kind of a desirable car because they're a two-door.
They are like I have this red one too. I just put up for sale and it's gotten a lot of attention. Like I've
Mhm.
gotten so many messages to come see this thing. So I'm hoping it goes to a good owner that'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're hard to find, but I managed to come across two. So
Yeah. That's pretty
I feel
cool.
fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you how I found mine. So anyway, as
Yeah.
I was saying, weird love-hate relationship for this boxy thing that I didn't understand, but I thought was kind of cool in a stupid way. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that's how like 10-year-old me thought. And fast forward to high school, like me and my friends, like we just got our licenses. Man, we should Volvo with an LS swap would be so cool. And meanwhile, we both have like the most limited amount of like mechanical knowledge, and we
Right.
just know terms essentially. And okay, whatever. We get our own cars. My car gets restored. We drive it a little bit. He's way better mechanic than I am, and he goes to school for it. I just kind of don't. I'm not a mechanic. I don't like car
Well,
mechanics
then that
much.
makes complete sense then.
Yeah, but I love cars. I just don't like tinkering
Yeah.
too much. There's just
I'm
frustrates
not a
me
huge
too much.
tinkerer.
Yeah,
I like to tinker, but I'm not gonna dismantle the entire engine.
no. But I'm like, man, it'd be kind of cool to have a 240. And I remember looking at Craigslist sometime, like, I wonder how much a 240 costs. And find for like 500, 750 or something like that. Just as like a
Yeah, you got it
car.
cheap.
Yeah. And never did it. And like, at my car. And fast forward a few more years, like this is probably like 5, 7 year timeline at this point, probably 5. And I'm working on this Mercury Cougar. One of my friends from high school, his dad has this one. That one of his relatives won it in some kind of like a dirt bike race or something like that back in the day, and it was like down in like Texas or something. It has this whole story. I don't remember it very well, but somehow it came up to New York because it was his cousins or something. He bought it, and it needed a lot of work. I remember seeing it in the garage in town. So one thing leads to another. I ended up doing body work on this car. So I have way too much time in it. And when his brother comes over and talking to him, and I'm like, you know what? I just started talking about this Volvo. Then I'm like, shit. My friend that's a mechanic, he's like, you're not gonna do it. You always talk like you should buy one, but you're never just gonna like just do it. So like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do it. So like, or at least check it out. There's just one
Yeah,
that's been around the corner from my house for years. So I'm like, okay. The idea was like an hour swap, like a cheap, fun, stupid project
right.
that was like low maintenance and like I didn't have to worry about chipping paint because my other car
No.
was closer to a show car at one point. You just feel so bad when you like revert the quality of something. So the idea was something that was like it had like a little bit of patina or whatever, like just normal wear and tear. I could throw it around the dirt, do donuts and shit. Doesn't matter. Nobody's gonna be upset
Right.
because it's a cheap car. And I go up to that place that's right around the corner from that Mercury, and it's still there, sitting in like the weeds, this tall grass at this point. And I go up to the door, knock on it. Nobody comes to the door. Leave a note. Leave. Get a call about like 15 minutes later. Yeah, I saw you left a note here. I wasn't there, but sure. Oh, my note was like, hey, might be interested in purchasing it. Would you mind, or would you consider selling it? And he's like, I could be convinced. So I go over there, and it's just a red station wagon. I didn't know anything about it. At the time, I thought it was uglier because it was like the square, small headlights. I always
Oh
thought like the big plastic ones were like the iconic look.
yeah.
And I pull up, and as soon as I look at the grill, it has the turbo badge. I'm like, is this a turbo car? I just thought it was a run-of-the-mill car, honestly.
Right.
No
Or like a
idea.
DL,
I didn't
basic
even know
base
like the
model.
trims. I just thought it was just a standard inline four, whatever.
Right.
I'll swap it anyway. And I look at it and I'm like, shit, it's a turbo. And then I start looking into it. We go around, look around it. Man, that thing was like gross. He was storing stuff in it. There's a ton of dog hair. There was dog food in there. It was gross. I mean, it's still not very great. Oh, also the interior was exploded. It came from Oklahoma, and at some point I think he's the one that trashed it. His dog probably trashed it. You also know how
God.
the leather interiors don't age very well.
No, they don't. I mean, I
Exploded.
have a leather
Gone.
interior and it's actually in very good shape for its age. Like there's no
Yeah.
tears in the back seat. There's
Hmm.
barely any tears in the passenger. There's a small tear in the drivers, but I'm lucky to found one like
Yeah,
that,
they're
right?
difficult to find,
They are hard to
but
find. Like
mine's
most of them look
gone.
awful.
Hmm. Oh, mine's to the point where there's foam missing because it wore away from like pants abrading it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah. They
crazy.
they all they all like the foam falls out of the driver's seats on all of them, including
Yes.
mine. Um, but like even this, I was amazed when I bought this blue 242.
Mm.
The window had been smashed out and had been like that for 3 years.
Oh,
The guy threw some plastic over it,
yeah.
but I'm surprised it wasn't moldier inside. Like it just had a bit like one of the driver's seats was a bit green on one side from being exposed to elements, but the
Yeah.
rest of the interior was like pretty clean. I'm like, oh, this
It's
actually
pretty
looks
impressive.
habitable.
Yeah.
So I
But
just cleaned it out and it's good to go.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I love those cars. They're so cool. That one's so cool too.
It,
But
it is, and you know what? It's all the original paint. You can tell the GLTs have this like black pinstripe, and that's still on there.
yes.
So it hasn't been repainted, and it's been sitting in the sun. It's been sitting in the rain for 5 years. So the paint is nowhere near perfect. But I think I'm going to keep the paint as is and just polish it because that way I don't have to worry about any future scratches. If I
Yeah.
spend the money to get it repainted,
You're
it'll
not gonna want to
be
drive it as much.
not gonna want to drive it as much. I'm like, I could treat it kind of like it's not really a rat rod, but it'll be like
Yeah.
it'll be a cool looking car with a bit of patina on it. I'll say that
Yes.
it has patina.
Yes. That's
Leave it at that.
that's where mine's taken me. So I check out that car, and it's not a perfect car. So that one specific has like a really funny like history. So our friend around the corner, he's a farmer. He went down to Oklahoma for college, like I think mid 90s or so. And he met a friend down there, and they got in the cars, and his friend knew that he really likes turbo wagon Volvos. And well, our friend gets married in like 99. And doesn't his friend from Oklahoma come up with a Volvo 245 GLT as a wedding gift?
Oh my God.
It was his wedding gift.
That's hilarious.
And it came to New York in 99, and it seemed like he took pretty decent care of it. And then at one point, it probably was taking too much space, and he sold it to this guy who bought it off of his friend. He's an electrician, and there's like a lot of like weird little jinky fixes on it.
Oh,
You could tell it's
I
from
hate
somebody
that.
that's a professional that takes care of other people's things, but then neglects their own.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like the condition got to be like where it is.
Yeah.
And he drove it in the winter, unfortunately. He said he only did it a
Oh,
couple times, but I don't believe it.
no, more
There's
rust than.
there's like that hole in the floor below the driver's seat, unfortunately. If worst comes to worst, we can replace it. We actually did full floors in my car at one point, or my dad did them. So
See the
I
expertise.
do have the means to make it work. And the
Right.
butt cheek on the driver's side like has a hole in it like this big. Not good.
It's funny. It looks good in the pictures.
It's not awful. Like that's really the bad rust. And I have like two
Right.
small little holes in the rockers, and I've been told that the rockers are a really bad part on those cars anyway. So
They are.
so this
I
is
have my rocker panels need to be cut. Some parts need to be cut out and rewelded.
yeah. Mine's
Like
probably gonna get that.
yeah, they're worth it if it's turbo wagon. It's worth it to
Yeah.
restore. Like my black one, it has no holes in the rocker panels. Actually, no rust in the butt cheeks.
Yeah.
It has one small thumb-sized hole on on the driver's side floor, and that's all the rust in the entire car.
Yeah, it's not
So
bad at all.
it's really rust-free. My red 242,
Yeah.
on the other hand, the previous guy spent a lot of money restoring it. Like he restored
Really?
it completely, inside and out, engine rebuild, tranny rebuild. It got a fresh coat of paint. The interior was redone completely. And then he drove it through the winter and dailied it in the winter. And then so when I bought it off him, like it has
Yeah.
this really shiny red paint and this beautiful interior, but it has rust around the
Underneath of it.
rear wheel arches, and it has rust around the windshield.
That's
And I
so
just don't have
unfortunate.
I know, and I was planning on restoring it, but I just don't have the time. So I put it up for sale now, and hopefully someone else takes care of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's more. Like they're
Mhm.
kind of rare, but at the same time they're not like crazy rare.
Right, like you can still find them in places.
Yeah.
Like there's this beautiful 1978 242 down the street from my friend,
Yeah.
and it's also abandoned. It's sitting in a driveway of
Is it a
this,
Dugnobile?
yeah,
Could it be a
it's just
future car?
well, my friend wanted to buy it. He's left so many notes on the house is
Oh,
also
really?
abandoned.
Yeah.
And it's in amazing shape. Like there's barely any rust on that car. Like it
Yeah.
looks all original, but it's just covered in moss. And
Yeah.
someone goes and mows the lawn in front of the house, but no one lives at the house. So I think the car's there just to make it look like someone lives at the house. And so he's left so many notes on this car, and
Yeah.
like they always get taken off the car. And then he finally met like the owner of the house, and he's
Yeah.
like, I want to buy this thing off of you. And he's like, oh, this old car, why do you want to buy this old car off of me? He's
'Cause
like,
it's
oh,
so
I'll think
cool.
of, because it's so, yeah, it's so cool. And he's like, I'll think about getting in contact with you. And he never did. And it's just like, so it's been driving my friend nuts because it's so hard to find the 70s models in
Yeah.
good shape.
Yeah.
And the man's just letting it sit there and collect
Yeah. Well,
moss.
there's just still some time on it, I guess.
Yeah, it's still pretty pristine actually,
Yeah.
but it needs to be saved.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
But so I'll go like another story. So
Sure.
Sean.
So yeah, I haven't met him personally.
Yeah.
Just like I haven't met you in person,
Mhm.
but I know Sean through my art page.
Yep. That's honestly like that group. Somehow his trifecta came
We all have like
together.
these mutual followers. Like a lot of
Yeah.
the people I know are in the US.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I'll talk with one of my followers and they'll follow like other followers who follow me. And
Mhm.
so it would, yeah, it's a small world, even though we're spread out so
Yeah.
far.
It's funny that it worked out that way, but I met Sean in person, and I honestly, I didn't like, I talked to him a little bit, but I didn't really know him on like a personal level at that point. And I saw that the year before they had a Volvo meet in Ithaca. I had no idea until the day of the event. I'm like, I didn't even know I could prep myself, and I can't go. So I'm like, I'm gonna make it a point to go next year. I did.
Right.
And then I saw that Sean was going. I'm like, I'm definitely doing it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna meet a hero, This car's
The
so
Hager
cool.
T245 turbo guy.
Yep. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. So I did. I took the time off from work, drove all the way out there, and
That's
he's from out
awesome.
towards the Hudson Valley area.
Yeah.
So he's like the other half of New York. I've been out there before, but I didn't know him then. And I met him, got to go for a ride in his car, got to check it out. Car is so cool.
It looks like a museum piece. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Like so cool. It's from Italy and
It's got a cool story for it. I mean, it's got
yeah,
even a
like
cooler story now.
I know. Well, it's been like that video. If you saw that recent
And
video,
from
the Hager
Haggerty,
T, I like that's such a cool
that,
video.
yeah, it's
It's
so
nice to see
cool.
these cars getting some recognition too,
Yeah.
because they are good cars.
Mhm.
But I know they've just been used a lot for like beaters as beaters, and
I kind of wanted one for a beater, but I feel bad. But at the
yeah,
same time, now it's like it's gonna be too expensive to make work.
yeah, it is. Like I'm like, oh, I don't. I was thinking of using the gray one as my winter one, but I'm like, you know what, that one it's too nice. It needs to go to someone who will
Take care
use
of
it in the
it.
summer and take care of it. So
Mhm. Yeah, there's always like that moral debate. This would be such a
exactly.
great car, but I can't do it for this because
I
it's gonna make
know.
me cry.
I'm like, I'm gonna bike to the grocery store in the winter time. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's worth it.
It's worth it. I'll
The
just
road
park
bike
my
can
other
take
two
it.
cars. Yeah, I'll park my two cars down in the garage in the winter.
Yeah, that's funny. But
Yeah.
I ended up meeting him. I met Matt from Black Volvo Parts too, because he lives
Oh
out that way
yes.
too.
Yeah, I've done a piece
Very cool
for
people.
him too.
Yeah,
So it's a small world. Like
yeah.
they both have really cool Volvos and
Hmm.
it was fun drawing their cars for them. Like it'd be cool to go to this meet.
Yeah.
We have like we don't have any specific Volvo meets out here. We have well, at least not that I know of anymore. Like we have the Volvo Club of British Columbia. So I have
Mhm.
that sticker, but I'm an official member of the
Yeah.
club. And I don't know if they have any meets anymore in Vancouver or in the surrounding area. Like I could be wrong.
Yeah.
We have this thing called like Steveston. We have this Cars and Coffee in Steveston, like in Richmond, which is like
Yeah.
near me.
Okay.
That happens like every summer, but it's more of like everyone can go, which is great. So you get like I can see all sorts of cars.
Sure.
And once in a while, there's the odd 240 that shows up. So that's the extent of
My
my Volvo
man.
meets. He's like, yes, another 240 owner,
Yeah.
or a 140 or something. So I've
Yeah,
made some friends through that too. So
for sure.
it's a lot of fun.
And
Yeah,
well, seeing his car in person, like I need to get my car out here. It's only 2 hours away from me. So
absolutely.
the goal is to have that thing running again and on the road by like like near the end of June of this year. We'll see how that goes.
That's a good goal.
It it needs stuff. It's a project. Like I gotta get the fuel relay stuff all sorted because I've been bypassing it because it's never worked since I've had it.
Oh, okay.
I have
Yeah,
to.
there's always something with like fuel pumps or
I
relays.
don't
Like
do
these
electrical,
always
so it scares me.
I don't either. And these always seem to go on the 240. Like it's a really
Yes.
common thing. Like even
Yep.
my current one's not starting and I tried like cleaning the distributor cap, I tried charging the battery, I tried like, you know, a couple like taking one of the fuses out and replacing it, and it's still won't freaking start. So
Have
now
you tried a fuel relay?
I have not tried the fuel relay yet.
Honestly, it might sound stupid, but everybody's told me like you need to have a spare at all times.
That's a smart idea because I know the fuel relays go on these all the time. So
I got an extra one from Matt. I bought one off of him back in November, so I have one to try with that car, if not a backup. And I also got a gas tank. Came out of an 81. It was totaled in 83, so it's almost a new gas tank.
oh my god, so it hasn't moved for so long.
Yeah. I
Holy crap.
when I drained the gas out of mine, it was like this brown, gross,
Ooh.
muddy liquid. So I think my tank's probably standing to be replaced. So that's why I got it.
It's funny,
And
my blue 242 needs a gas tank replacement too.
yeah,
It's just leaking gas all over the place. Like I'll fill it up and it's like, where'd all the gas go? It's
yeah.
gone.
I heard they're kind of hard to come by now, but if you
That's what I'm worried
contact
about.
Matt, if you contact Matt, he's got a few of
Hmm.
them. I think he's
I
got
might
two
have
or
to
three.
send. Oh, really? I might have to get him to
Yeah.
ship me one because it needs a new gas tank, this blue one, as I found out after I bought it. Like when I was driving it, and then when you drive around the corner, it would want to
Oh,
sputter and like lose power.
oh yeah.
And then
Okay.
and then my friend we looking at the gas gauge, it's like, I just filled this up and it's like almost empty now. And then looked at the driveway and there's this like pool of
Oh, that's not good.
shiny, yeah, rainbow.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's
Rainbow.
like rainbow. It's like crap.
Yeah.
Another
So
expense.
yep. I would
Yep.
definitely be worth looking into. I know
Mhm.
that my fuel gauge doesn't work, so that'll probably have to get replaced. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm just gonna ride it out on the
Yeah.
odometer. My
Fill it
speedometer
up.
still works.
Oh, good.
It does work.
Yeah, it's amazing
Um,
if your odometer still works.
yeah, I guess that's one of the good parts about it. That was the selling point. No.
The selling point.
But I had to run all new gas line all the way to the front. We kind of cut it so we could kind of rig it to work, and we got it to run, but now it doesn't run.
But
Unfortunately,
properly the first time and you won't have to worry about it for a long
yep.
time.
I gotta take care of that, and I don't know. Like I have to take care of my turn signals. My one lens was like busted and so dim you could barely see it. Sometimes
Yeah.
they work, sometimes they won't. So there's an electrical gremlin somewhere. Um, Gotta put the rear lens back on to my tail light because of course the reverse ones always pop off. The other one's glued on there.
Oh yeah, the reversal. I've glued mine on too. They
Yep.
all pop off.
Yep. And I got
Funny.
to there's some like other small stuff, but like I have to do through all the brakes. I got the front corners from him too. I gotta do the rears too. But
I gotta do the brakes on the blue one too.
yeah. So we're
they're
probably in
going.
a similar place, right?
Yeah, I think we all of us, all of us 240 owners have the same problems. It's like
Yeah.
rust, fuel related issues.
Yep.
It just like with 40-year-old cars, there's always something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm tired of owning 4 of them.
I couldn't do more right now. I
No,
have 3
two
cars.
is
I have
max.
3 cars all together. I'm like, this is too many.
Yeah, this is too many. Like, and you think you want more until you have more, then you're like, I don't want any more.
You know what the worst part of that is?
What?
When they either run out of gas, they all run out of gas at the same time, or they all break at the same time.
Well, that's the thing.
I've
I'm like,
had that
oh,
happen.
I have like 4 half-working cars. Like, I'm like,
It's a
oh, I'm gonna get.
struggle.
I know you think I'm gonna get another car as my backup car, and then they all just end up
It's
like
just another
breaking.
project car. Damn
Like,
it.
like, god damn it! I think the red 242 is my only one that could actually drive right now. Like the black one had a brake failure. The
Ugh.
gray one, I don't know why the gray one's having like trouble starting. Like it'll crank, but it won't like, or it won't turn over.
Yeah.
It'll try starting, and like this just happened 2 days ago. So now I'm like, god damn it, that was my only working car. And then the blue one, that was a project from the beginning, so I wouldn't even trust that thing to be on roads because well, one, the fuel drains all over the place, and I don't know when the last time the brakes were replaced. So
Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
Hopefully mine will be running this year. I know I've been saying it the last 2 years, but now I kind of have like a goal.
Should
But
do like a road trip, a big road trip in it.
that'd be pretty cool.
We get all fixed up. Like I'll meet you somewhere in the
Hey, I
US because I
mean,
want to
that'd be
do
pretty cool.
a US road trip.
That would be really rad.
Yeah, I was thinking originally going out of California with one of my cars. I'm building a little camper trailer to tow behind it too. But we'll see how
You're
that
like
goes.
10 steps ahead of me. You have a running car, you have a trailer, or mostly running car. You're
Mostly.
closer to California.
They're all almost there. Like they just need small things to get them running
Yeah.
again. But I've been so busy with other stuff that haven't gotten around to it.
My latest problem's been like my bike addiction. I got my dream bike and now I'm just building it, and it's just like it's a project. It's like almost as bad as a car.
Yeah, you get distracted by that and everything else gets
Yes.
neglected.
Yep. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm saving money for my 240, so I haven't been burning the money, but like if I just put the money from my bike into that, I would have had a very well running car by this point, but I like my bikes too much.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. I don't know anything about bikes at all, but what kind of bike is it?
It's that black and green GT. It's called a distortion. So when I was in eighth grade, like I really got the bug for like mountain biking. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, it pretty much is, but I didn't have the money to do it, so I ended up buying my bike, and it was like the lowest, or not lowest, but one lower end GTs for the time. It was like $700, which was like a huge thing at that time. And I mean, I
Oh
still
yeah.
have it. I've had it for like 9 years, worth every penny. But I wanted to get a downhill bike forever. Like it's the coolest stuff ever. If you look up Red Bull Rampage on YouTube, you don't have to be into bikes and they'll blow you away. It's ridiculous what people do on bikes.
There
Go out
I've seen some incredible videos. Like I can barely bike at all. Like I'll
yeah,
even going off jumps or anything, I'll just face plant. But yeah, some
yeah.
people do some amazing tricks
It's
with
crazy.
them.
And like they go out to Colorado and they have like all these huge mountains and like they're literally riding off of cliffs and stuff. Like I'm not
That's
even
the place to do
exaggerating.
that stuff.
It's crazy. But like that was so cool. I still think it's so cool. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that physically, or okay, not I don't want to do it on that caliber, but like
Yeah.
downhill mountain bike would be cool, but I don't know if I will or not. I feel like that's a goal to set. But my achievable practical um dream bike was a GT distortion, and they made them for like 4 years. I've only found that they're super limited in production, which I never would have thought. So hard. I used to stock the market in high school when I didn't have money. I dreamed of it.
Could always dream.
Yeah. And found one once in a while. I never had money. So it's like, damn. So last year, like COVID just had me down. Like I was not a good place for most of COVID. So I'm like, I almost gave up on writing altogether. I'm like, I'm never physically gonna be able to do this and that. And then I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do it. I looked for that bike. There was one for sale and it was in Boston. And the day I was gonna call him, and this other one pops up in Cleveland. And it's the one I bought. And it was a better spec one. So
Right.
there's
Oh,
lots of
that's
stories there
awesome.
with that.
Oh,
But
dreams do come true.
yeah, not very cheaply, but it's
Yeah, sometimes money is required to make dreams come true, but if you can make it
very
work,
much in that case.
if you can make it work, that's awesome.
Yeah. But it was just I love it. It's my first love for like my own independent thing. And nobody else can care about it. It's just something I love. Like I go in the garage and I see that, I'm like, that thing is so beautiful. It's just
That's
a
what
bike.
matters most. It's like, do you love it? It's like, doesn't matter if anyone else does, right?
Yeah.
That's how I look
But
at like my own cars, right? Like some people are like,
mhm.
why do you drive this thing?
Yes, it's the
And other
same thing.
people, yeah, and other people are like, wow, I love that thing. And so I don't really care. Like I love it. It's for me
Mhm,
and I drive it for me. So
mhm. No, I get that. So that's what that
so
was, and
it makes life so fun.
yeah. So now I've been really having the bug. I found that I really love bike mechanics. Building bikes is freaking incredible for me. Like it's tinkering, but like advanced. Like I just like I'm driven like my photography work. Like I find one avenue and I do it. And I'm like, okay, what's the next one? So I start like going to the next genre within it, like the next technique. And all of a
Right.
sudden I have like this whole entire wheelhouse of skills because I just focus on one so intense at a time and I move to the next eventually to the next.
You
And then
get
all
to
of a
know it
sudden I
so
have all of them.
intimately.
Yeah. That's just
That's how
how
I'm
I work.
finding like that's how I'm finding it with like my cars too. I just take apart one piece at a time and then I get to learn that one individual piece really
Yep.
well. And I just do that over and over again instead of like trying to overwhelm myself with the whole, like looking at the
Yeah,
thing as a whole. And then it becomes much easier and much something that I feel like I can tackle. Um,
definitely.
so it does help a lot. And I
Yeah.
also watch my friends too. Some of my friends are mechanics. and they're much better. They're much more knowledgeable than I am.
Yep.
So I'll learn stuff from them and
Yeah.
get their feedback. So
Definitely is a good way to learn. I'm
yeah.
actually trying to recruit people that want to help me with my car or actually like to do it. And I can kind of like learn while they're doing
Huh.
it.
I should do that too. Like I'm like, I'll just advertise like free beer and pizza if you
I'm
come
kind of
in.
thinking about that. Yeah. That's a good idea. I mean, I was just thinking about like paying somebody or bartering with them, but I mean that could be a pretty cool hangout.
Yeah. We could exchange art for
I could.
mechanic work.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Photography for mechanic work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I've done like a lot of my I've done a few things that way too. Like I even exchanged some of my rent for
Oh, really?
design work. Yeah, like I was building I built myself, I don't know if you ever heard of tiny homes.
I
Um
I did hear
they're
some
like
stuff like that.
they're like these homes on wheels. You
Yeah.
can kind of move them around. Anyways, I built one of those. I wanted to get some experience doing a bit of construction work. So
Yeah.
I bought a trailer
Mhm.
for this house, and I needed a place to stay while I was building it, because I was building this house was being built on a piece of land that was farther away from where I was living at the time. So I needed
Mhm.
to rent a suite or an apartment
Mhm.
while I was working on the house. So I just put up an ad like, you know, we'll exchange money for rent or for a place to stay, or design work for a place to stay. Like I'll design something for you. So some guy contacted me and said, "Oh, I have a cottage. Like if you want to design the cottage for me,
Yeah.
you can stay at. I have this suite in my house, and you can stay there for free in exchange for
That's
working on
pretty
the
cool.
cottage." So it's like, wow, that worked really well. So like you can use the barter system
Yeah.
for these things. And so I didn't, so it actually saved me a whole lot of money. And I didn't even have to spend a whole lot of time designing the cottage. So it worked out so well for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I made a friend out of it too. So
Yeah. That's really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
Yeah, you never know who's out there,
I've been meeting a lot of
willing to accept a trade.
yeah, honestly, bartering's pretty cool.
It's like the old days.
Yeah. I've actually found it's kind of almost easier. I feel like it would be easier to find somebody to barter with than have to find like a gig to sell.
Right, to
Does
make
that
the
make
money. And
sense?
then, yeah, like you got to go out and make the money and then
Yeah.
pay for it thing. Like you just get straight to
Yeah, it's like
trading.
direct.
Yeah, I don't know. I should try it more often because it's worked out for me
Yeah.
for, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I can't think of anything right now that I need to trade for other than maybe having someone help me with my cars. But
That's pretty cool though.
yeah,
So,
it's been a lot of fun.
I'll ask you. So, your background, you went to school, you got your bachelor's in or
Yes.
architecture.
Yes, that's
Um,
correct.
how did you go once you got out of that? Like my
I
path
went.
once I graduated, I
Mhm.
feel is very different, but I also didn't go for school as long. So I was kind of younger and not very mature.
Yeah, I mean, we all have completely different paths. I actually like right for my bachelor's, I went right into my master's.
Mhm.
So like I was thinking of taking a break, but if I took a break, I'd be worried that I wouldn't want to go back.
Yeah,
So
I get
I
that
went,
mentality.
yeah, like it was, talking with my family about it, and they're like, yeah, you should go straight for it. And at
My
this time, I
girlfriend
was
just
like,
did that.
yeah, like
She just
I
graduated.
get it, right? Because like it's really tempting to take like a year off, but then it's just like, you know what, it makes sense. I'm just gonna go straight for it. So I went straight for it. To become a licensed architect, you need your master's, you need to do an internship, and then you need to take an exam.
Yeah.
So I had to do my master's because I want to get my license.
Mhm.
So I'm still in the process of like working towards that, but
Mhm.
I did 2.5 years. Like it was supposed to be a 2-year program. I took a little longer to complete it, like to write my thesis. So that it was a lot of work. I'm glad
Yeah.
I did it. Like, but I'm glad it's over because
Yeah.
it could get quite stressful, and it was a lot of work. But I'm really happy that I have um, that education now that I can apply to uh, I can apply to my career, or at
Yeah.
least the start of my career, because I'm still just starting my career. Like I've been focused on art the past 2 years, so I guess this was kind of like my gap, or my 2 years off, just
Yeah.
doing art for the past 2 years. And
Yeah.
now I'm kind of like, well, I would like to continue the artwork because I love doing the artwork, but it's not going to be my full-time gig.
Yeah,
It'll be a part-time thing on the weekends, and then I want to work for a firm, like an architecture firm,
sure.
full
Yeah.
time. So that's kind of like where I've been at the
Mhm.
moment with it. I'm not sure where it's gonna go. Like
Yeah,
I honestly don't know, but I'm hoping I hope to get my license in the next 3-4 years.
that's definitely a good goal.
Yeah, it's a
That's
goal
very cool.
to look forward to.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure you'll be able to do it.
I
I
hope
don't have
so.
any doubts about that.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
How about you?
So for me, like I've never really had a huge opinion of school. Once I started going, I'm like, this is just so much garbage. Like it really just salted my views of it. And
Yeah,
for me, I don't need the paper degree. So it's like, why am I wasting so much time on all these miscellaneous things that I'm never going to use? It's just
right.
I wanted it to be more silver bullet than what college really is, at least for in my experience. There's so much random stuff built into the curriculum for the sense of just having it.
Right.
To me, it doesn't matter. And I did my first 2 years, I went for graphic design, and it was an okay program. I met some friends, and like that was cool. I built some relationships in that way. And socially, I think it was worth going for. But like skill sets, I had like 3 photography classes. That's all my formal education related to like what I do. It was
Right.
like that. And then I have like my computer classes for graphic design, but like, like the most concentrated on photography, that's all I have. Everything else is like self-taught. So I was in the end of my second year, and I was like, I wanted to dual major. My school wouldn't recognize dual majoring, so I had to do one major and then finish it and then do the other. And so I had all the credits to graduate my graphic design. That's the one I finished up first. And I went to my third year. I was like this close to dropping out over that summer, not starting my third. I was like so on the fence. And the thought of having to figure out healthcare and all that stuff in the US is kind of not
Yeah,
good.
it's no for that. It's quite expensive
Yes.
there, and so is the education system. Like, it's incredibly expensive.
Yes. And I was like, I was scared shitless essentially. Like my
Mhm.
dad kind of like scared the shit out of me. And I'm like, how am I going to be able to afford that? So I decided to enroll again because I didn't know where I was going to come up with the money to start paying for health insurance. Long story
Right.
short, I didn't actually have to have it yet, but whatever. So I
Hey,
went for
always
my,
better to be safe than sorry.
yeah. So I went for my third year. It was only a SUNY school. Um, so it's cheap. I mean, that's honestly that year was what really added most of my financial debt because I had scholarships and for like the first year and it wasn't as expensive. But at the end of it, like all throughout the year, I was miserable. I was so annoyed. I was still doing my photo work outside of school. I mean, that was really my main drive, but that's really what I wanted. Like I was just very focused on it. And I had to put all this time and energy in these classes that really meant nothing to me. And it was so hard to be motivated for it. So I was like, why am I doing this? So I took all the classes in my business major that I thought were like important. So I took advertising. That was my favorite class ever. Advertising, a bunch of different business classes. Creative thinking. Holy crap, is that the if you took one in college, it's not bullshit. It really explains how people think and it's very useful. I would, if you haven't looked into it, I would totally recommend checking it out. But I took like the important ones. I even took accounting. I didn't need accounting at all, but whatever. And then it got to the end of that semester. I was starting to figure out the classes for the next, and like there were just so many just filler courses for that whole next semester I'd have to put into it. It
I've
was
taken
like
those.
accounting, managerial accounting. Why do I need this?
I totally get it.
It was
Like
all
I
the
took
stupid stuff.
criminology. Like I'm
Yeah,
like, why do I need criminal? I don't need to say criminology, but I had to like have a filler course of some
yeah.
sort. Like I don't need criminology or
That's
studies in the Caribbean. Like I'm like, why?
yes. I was just so annoyed from like the whole schooling system. Like, fuck it, I'm just gonna leave. And at that
Mhm.
time, I was looking for jobs, and my mom was working at the post office, and we found like an inn because she knew that somebody was moving, and did a nice swaparoo, and I actually moved into a position much quicker than normally people do.
Right.
The job's kind of meh. I'm not very great. I'm not very like fulfilled from it. It's very much not meant to be for a long time. I've been here for almost 3 years. I'm so ready. Honestly, last Saturday I had like such an annoying day. It's pissed me off. I'm like, why am I still here? And then like now I'm like now my mind's going. I'm like, can I make this work
Yeah.
without actually having that 9 to 5?
Right.
And it's
Like
like,
I've had jobs too, like where I'm just like, why am I, why am I here? You know, like
yeah,
I worked as a landscaper at
yeah,
one point. I worked as I was grateful to have this job during the pandemic, but
mhm,
it's not something I would do again. I worked as a production assistant for Netflix,
that's
um,
cool.
which was cool. Like I got to see behind the scenes, which is
Yeah,
a lot of fun, and like the set is cool and the people were really nice, but the job itself just wasn't fulfilling for me at all. I'm like, I don't want to be here
yeah.
for
That's
very long, so
it's just
I quit that.
it's getting to that point where it's like, do I have enough things moving now where I could actually just decide, you know what? Let's just go out on a limb and just make it happen. Because I thought I was there before, and like at that time, like looking back, I don't think I was. But I've really built a decent network in the last few years where I feel like if I continue doing that, I feel like I could actually get somewhere.
It really is a lot about like who you know, because it helps so much, right? Like I don't think
Yeah.
I would be able to I don't think I could have expanded my business so fast if it wasn't for like clients word of mouth
Hmm.
or having an interview with like it started with there was this one gentleman in Poland. It was actually one of my first interviews that I had
Hmm.
where he wrote an article on the Architect's Garage, and I think a few people came across that article, and then from there, like I had other people write
That's so
articles,
cool.
newspapers, and that really helped a lot. But I think if it wasn't for like that first article, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have grown as fast. So just knowing people and networking, and it's so
Yeah.
important. Your skill set's important, but I think
Yeah.
knowing people is as equally as important. Because if no
Yes.
one knows about your great skill set, then no one will
Yeah.
hire you.
Definitely. I feel like that was my mindset for the longest time, and maybe as part of maturing at this point. I for the longest time I'm like, I'm gonna put all this time into my skills and I'm going to become the absolute best that I can. And
Yeah,
that's I haven't stopped. Like every time I go out and shoot, I'm definitely like chasing the next best thing. It's never stopped.
right.
But instead of it just being just skill, now it's like, where can I go? Who can I
Yeah,
meet? How many people can I meet in this time? And really, that's been like such a game changer for me.
absolutely. It's a huge game. It's been a huge game changer for me too, because it's like I always, would say to myself, "Oh, I'm not ready to share my
Mhm.
work." It's like, but the other side of me is like, just share it, damn it. Like, people will like it or people won't like it. Not a big deal. But
Yeah.
no one will ever find your work if you don't share it. So
Hmm.
even if it's not exactly what I want it to be, I'll share it
Hmm.
because that's how people find my stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have some kind of exposure.
You
If it's
need
at
some
zero,
kind of
there's no way.
exposure. No,
Yeah.
and if you have zero, you got to find a way to get some
Yeah.
sort of exposure, even if it's just small to begin with.
Yeah. Ugh. That now you say it with that magazine or so. When I met with Sean, I shot his car at that event, a small little gig, and he paid me for it, which was cool. Like I was very
That's
thankful for it.
awesome.
And he ended up calling me months later. He's like, "Hey, my somebody's looking to feature my car in their magazine. Would you be interested in doing a shoot?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah."
See, there you go. Like right there.
Yeah, it's just one of
One
those
thing leads to
stupid
another.
things. I'm like, I'm gonna meet him,
Exactly.
and it just happened to be one of those. Seems like it's a pretty important context. I mean, like,
Yeah,
he's
I
a really
mean,
good
like
friend. He's an awesome dude.
he's on. Like I've talked with him before. Unfortunately I've never met him in person. I'd love to meet him in person, but he's been awesome to
Yeah,
work with, and yeah, it's all about like meeting these cool people, and opportunities do pop up. So
yeah.
when
Honestly,
I
they come from places where you don't think they will.
no, I mean I live in White Rock. White Rock is a small. There's not much
Yeah.
going on here, but
Hmm.
online, like I can meet a whole bunch of people right
Yep.
around the world.
For
I
sure.
even it was funny, like even if it's not for work opportunities, like yeah, making friends. Like I when I was in Amsterdam 2 months ago, I actually have a client that I did a drawing for who
Mhm.
lives in Amsterdam, and they saw that I was flying out, and they're like, "Oh, if you're in Amsterdam, we should meet up sometime." So we did. We actually met up and had a beer.
That's so
It was a
cool.
lot of fun. It's so cool. Like on the other side of the world, you
Yeah,
having a beer with someone you met on social media who is one of your clients, and
that's
it's
it's
like I
so
know social media.
rewarding.
It is like I know social media has its downsides, and it's not always good for your mental health. But man, social media does have some great aspects to it,
Hmm.
like meeting people in person,
Yeah.
and so it's not all bad.
Want to meet IRL?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. LOL.
Yeah.
Or like
We'll have
even
to.
talking with you on this podcast, like you know,
Yeah.
we're here because of Instagram. So
Yeah.
like that's
Volvos.
and
You like
Volvos
bricks?
and
I do
Instagram.
too.
Yeah, I love bricks.
Cool.
Exactly. Like
Friendship.
that's what makes this community so cool. Like
Yeah.
it's easy to make friends to this community. I mean, that's how I made a couple of my friends here too,
Yeah.
through the car community, and um, it's been wonderful.
I'll show you. Okay. So I do a little bit of Illustrator work, and
Yeah,
I have a friend in Texas. You probably don't follow Firebird people, do you? Probably not.
I think I might maybe a couple people, but I not that I know personally.
Okay. So
Like I
I have
follow a
this.
bunch of car pages.
Oh yeah. It's definitely easy to confuse or lose track.
Yeah,
So I have a
I lose
friend.
track easily.
I have a friend in Texas, and he's got a '69 Firebird, and I've just been like babbling back and forth with him because he's like working on it, and he's like finding these things about it, and I can offer some advice or like been there, done that, try this, or
Right.
you'll get through it. I believe in you. Motivation sometimes, and it's just kind of a cool little friendship. And I think it was a few days before Christmas, he was working, and somebody T-boned him in his
Oh
his
crap.
work van, and I think he shattered his pelvis.
Yikes.
And man, I feel really bad for him, and I kind of want to do something for him. So I've been contacting him, trying to be friendly and whatnot, which
Right.
I'm glad that I'm able to. Able to have the opportunity to be nice. And
Yeah.
he's really cool, and I'm making something for him. I'll show you if you want.
Working on a little piece of the car.
Yeah, I'll bring it over here.
Let's see. Gotta check this out.
So I do Illustrator work. I found illustrations kind of fun. I'm not super great, but like for projects, it's amazing. I love it. And I make,
Illustrator is an awesome
yes,
program.
it's the learning curve. I hated it at first. Now I love it. I can't get
Yeah, me
enough of
too.
it.
I hated it at
So
first too.
this is the design. It's not quite the architect. It's supposed to be different, but it's two-dimensional.
That is awesome.
You can see.
He's gonna freaking love that thing, man.
Well, I'll do you one better. I'm putting a few dollars into this project because I want to make it special for him.
So
So
we're so what are you printing out like multiples of these, or
this is just a vinyl sticker right
so it's
now.
gonna be a
The
huge
die
vinyl
cut.
sticker? It
No, it's
looks
not going to be.
oh, okay.
It's going to be something more tangible. I'll show you for scale of what it's going to look like. This is not the final version of the design. I kind of found there's some print errors with it, so I have
Oh,
to clean it
okay.
up later.
Yeah,
But
that is gonna be so cool
his
looking.
account is Light My Firebird, like the Hot Wheels, if you're
Right,
familiar with it from
right.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And I it's this project, and honestly, it's kind of making me think whether I should just quit my job because I might be able to make money at
I have to say you're a great illustrator.
it. Thank you.
Like honestly, there's a lot of a detail put in that piece. Like it's minimalist, and there's like it's a minimalist piece, but there's also a lot of detail in it.
It took a little bit of time, but like I was so motivated for it, and I love it. So like that's what fueled it.
I think you should get into more of your illustration work, like and share some of it because that
It's
would be
kind of a
really
fun
cool.
project on the side,
Yeah,
and if you want, I'll actually even bring you the next piece.
yeah,
This
I'd
is
love
where
to
it
see
becomes
it.
a tangible product.
Tangible
If I can
product.
get out my door, it's
All right.
really cool. It's a little bit simple, but it's cool. But it's not too simple.
Not too simple.
Okay. Mostly back. I'll put my headphones in for now. So I came up with this idea. Like, I like different mediums and I like making things now. For whatever reason, I do carpentry and I it sucks. It's bittersweet being a creative because then I'm like always doing something. But then I'm like,
there you go. Like,
in it.
So this is I have the same problem.
So I made this project for my good friend in high school because he got married last year and I didn't really have money. I didn't want to give him money and I didn't have money. I'm like, I'm not partying with the money to give somebody just because they got married.
You have time.
So I'm like, you know what? I'll make a project. And I actually made it late. So I'm like, I made you something. It's just not done yet. So
sounds like me.
I made this mirror with a design I made on it with their names, and it was like a flower. It was a sunflower. I have a picture on my phone somewhere, but you won't see it right now. But I made this. This is the same concept. I made this for Christmas for my dad.
Is it the Pontiac in there?
Yep.
Oh, 1967. That is so cool.
Give me a sec, though. It's not done. It ain't done yet.
It ain't done yet.
Nope.
How do you print on that? Like, what do you use to print? Is it a giant, like, is it like a big sticker, or is it printed
I do use a sticker
on
in it, but what you see is there's no mirror there.
Oh, it lights up. Holy crap.
I'll try to show it into like a shadow, but
okay. So how does that? Is it engraved? Like, is the backing of the mirror etched off of it?
Yep.
And there's a light behind it that lights it all up.
It's kind of simple in concept.
That's really cool.
But it definitely does take a little bit of.
Looks like it takes a bit of time.
Oh, you can see my whole entire room now. Hey.
Oh yeah, I see all the Pontiac
up
stuff.
there.
That is awesome.
There's my girlfriend's picture I got. My lighting setup.
Me.
You. My designs.
The desk.
But this is
you can see my mess of an apartment. Well, it's kind of.
Yeah, it's all right.
There's not much going on here. I'm actually not even in my office.
You haven't seen
my office is behind the wall.
But the scale of this is 1 foot by 2 foot about, or like an inch or two above that. So
right.
The image was actually made with a vinyl, and I blasted off with sand.
Oh, okay. So you have like a little sand blaster, like a
hand,
how's that? It's just a hand one. Because the lines are really clean looking from what I can see in the piece.
Yeah,
so.
You get a little.
Like, it almost looks like it's done by a machine. Like it looks very accurate.
It's actually kind of cool because you can't see it. This mirror has a few light scratches and stuff, but I actually make these things out of recycled material. Like, I honestly will find like a bathroom mirror. I'll pick it up on the side of the road and I'll actually make it into something.
That's so cool. So you're also just taking stuff out or preventing it from going into the landfill.
Yeah, I'm actually making
and
it
making something cool, making it
Yeah.
valuable. Like, that's kind of what I do with a lot of my furniture in my apartment. Like, it's all roadside finds, and I clean it up and fix it up, and it looks great, and the quality is better than anything I could get at like IKEA or any like cheaper furniture stores.
Oh, it's definitely cool. I saw some cool furniture. You had like some more modern stuff. It was pretty neat looking.
Yeah, I have like, I don't know, like this teak credenza. It's hard to see in my room because it's so dark right now, but like teak credenza.
That looks really cool.
This old Telefunken cabinet, which was found on the side of the road. Like, unfortunately, it doesn't have unfortunately, it doesn't have the audio equipment anymore. But I'm like, I can use it as a bar.
It's still really cool though. Like, it has that look.
Yeah, and it makes a great storage cabinet. So I have like that, like these lamps I got for free. They're kind of funky, like retro basket weave lamps. It's probably not making the lighting, regular backlighting, like and like just makes my face black. But yeah, so I like to just reuse a lot of the stuff. Like the poster above me, I got in Denmark from a museum. Like, I just framed it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I frame so much stuff, dude.
Framing just makes everything look better.
Yes. Well, I frame stuff because I do photography and I make my own frames and I give them away as presents. Then I learned that everything's a box, so you can make anything because they're all boxes. So I made that. That's a frame.
Did you make that with like reclaimed wood too, or
Yep. There
nice?
is wood used for old shipping containers.
Oh yeah,
It's only
that's I've
pine,
I've
but
I've used I've used shipping container wood to build stuff too.
yeah, I've
It's
used this for
great
so much stuff. It's so I love it.
and it's plentiful too, and
Hmm.
you just gotta be careful like if you're using it on like interior walls and stuff that doesn't have like toxic chemicals
Yeah,
in it.
if it's not like pressure treated.
Yeah, but to
But
make sure it's not pressure treated. Which yeah, I found non-pressure treated ones.
Mhm,
Can build all sorts of cool stuff
for
with it. I
sure.
built like a little storage cabinet out on my deck here,
Mhm.
out of old fence boards.
It's so much fun just making stuff. It's
Yeah, I don't like buying stuff. I like making it. So
yeah.
I just get so much more satisfaction out of it. Like when you've worked on it with your own hands, you can kind of be proud of it. And
Oh, that's me all the time
yeah.
now. It's like my bike. It's that. It's do I show you? It's gonna be awkward, but I will try. Let me disconnect my hard drive real quick, and
Sure.
it'll be a sec. So anyway, this is going to be made into a mirror once I redo the design a little bit, and
A couple adjustments.
yeah, make a few adjustments, and it's gonna light up, and it's gonna be a mirror. Like it, I wouldn't call it a tacky project, but I feel like I'm not the first person to ever think of it. But I feel like I'm the first or one of the first people to kind of use it in this application, maybe.
Well, I wonder what other applications is like, I guess for like signage, like in bars or
I'm thinking about
um
doing that.
I don't think I've think I've seen something like it before, but I don't think I've seen like a design like that on the mirror
Yeah,
with a specific vehicle. I've seen
yeah,
signage, and actually I would love to do something like that, like for if I had a garage to have a mirror like that with my car on it
yeah,
hanging over. Like I would have it if I had a garage. Unfortunately, I'm in a condo, so I park
yeah,
down in the. I can't hang up anything in the garage down,
yeah.
but I
That's all
would
right.
otherwise.
Eventually, I feel like you likely move eventually and have the means to
Yeah,
do it, right?
I would love to have my own space to kind of tinker on stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like Strata just looks at me like, "Why are you taking apart stuff in the
Okay.
garage?"
I'll show you now.
Sure.
So, me being kind of really obsessed with details, I like automotive photography. Is like it's literally my life. I live for it.
Yeah,
Like I love it. So I also like Hot Wheels and Legos, stuff
I
like that.
love
Still very
Lego.
much a kid at heart.
Same. I'm a kid too. Like,
So I have a few Hot Wheels that I have on my desk over there
yeah.
where I work, and the thing is they get dusty. I'm like, gross. And once they get inside like the interiors, you're not gonna clean them.
No.
So then I'm like, let's make a display case because I cut glass. So I'm like, let's see if I can make a box. I looked it up and I
Right.
started doing it. Well, I did. And well, it turned into not just a display case. Let's see if I can make a mini set of a seamless studio.
No way.
I
This is
had
about to
the
be the coolest display case I've ever seen.
I have the Westcott logo on there because it's my favorite lighting modifier company.
It looks professionally done.
It's just so fucking stupid.
It looks sick. I love this.
I mean, I think it's really cool. I just think it's like very, very obsessive and like how accurate it has
I
to
mean,
be.
but like,
If you can,
it's good to be obsessed. There's the Lego guys.
if you can see there, I'm
All
behind.
Pontiac.
Yep. If you can see, I'm the one standing. That's me with a camera, and the one in front on the ground is my girlfriend pulling out her hair because I'm taking my time and being ridiculous.
They all have to put up with us, right? Yeah, like
Yep, that's pretty much what it is, and I actually have it on a timer too. So like now when it turns to like 6:30 or whatever, it turns on in my room and like yes, it's like the best nightlight you could ever have.
I have to say, this is like the coolest case I've seen so far. I haven't seen a cooler case for Hot Wheels. And also, you're right, it's dual purpose. It's a light.
It's like it lights up the room. Oh, in case you didn't notice, there that the thing that the Westcott is on is it's an actual soft box. Now I just lost the word. It's a bank. It's a huge bank. Like if you've ever seen a car studio, there's a huge soft box that sits above
Right.
it,
So you
and
get even lighting.
it gets you like that nice reflection, and that's what that
Right.
is.
That's part of it, eh? Because I know they it's got like the ones in the studios. They're just like it's just like, is it just a bunch of those connected together? Like how does that work?
It's like this large bank. It's like a rectangular. It's held together by a bunch of like what would you say? It's a bunch of steel
Clips,
tubing or
tubes. Oh,
aluminum. It's
okay.
just very large, and you just have a bunch of lights inside of it that bounce
Right.
up and like reflect and like
Oh,
soften it.
okay. Right.
And
No harsh direct light.
you might not be able to tell from the video I just showed you, but the softbox actually is suspended inside of the display case.
I saw like the glasses around it and it looked like it was offset like a tad. So
Yeah,
is it just clipped onto the glass edge or
I had it
how does it
where there were two posts that were holding the bank up off the back wall. But if I
okay.
had it too far out where there was gap between the back wall and the softbox, it would lean like this because I didn't drill the
Oh,
holes
right.
very well.
Right. It doesn't have
So
anything to
what I
yeah.
found that I could do is I could just pull it snug to the wall. It straightens right up.
Oh, perfect.
So it was like,
It
yeah, it's a pretty,
looks really good.
it's like a pretty
I want
simple
one.
fix.
I want one for my I have a few Hot Wheels in here too. They're just in a drawer though in cabinet, so
See, you're not enjoying them.
I know. I
My
gotta put them
stuff,
on
I'm like, I need
display.
to enjoy it. Even if I don't use it, I'm like, I love looking at
Looking at
stuff.
it's so pleasant to look at. I have
Yeah.
some sitting on the shelf in my office, so yeah, it was my roommate actually that used to like he doesn't live here anymore. He moved out, but he collects quite a few car models, so they were all around all over the place.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like those geeky things. Like I'm just geeking out at this point. I'm like,
It's
man,
great though to have something to geek out on.
yeah. And they said I like Legos. Like you're like what? Maybe a couple years older than me. What year?
I'm 26.
26. I
So,
just turned 24 last month or
oh, there you go.
November. So yeah,
So couple
yeah,
years
I was right.
older.
2 years. Cool.
There you
So
go.
if you're into Legos and you like Star Wars, holy crap, we had the coolest stuff growing up. I love that
There's like
stuff.
so many different kits, right?
Yes.
Like I had boxes, like 4 boxes of like I wish I never got rid of it because I think like when I was younger, it was sold in a garage sale, but I would love to just have those boxes again and build all sorts of stuff. Like even in school, one of
Yeah.
my friends, she bought a box of Lego and brought it into the university, and we just we just built like all these different architectural models with it, and
Yeah.
it was so much fun. I loved it. I had a train set out of Lego at one point too. Like it was a lot. That was really cool.
Yeah. Man, I feel like I've rambled on forever about this stuff. So I love Star Wars. I don't know if you're into Star Wars at all.
You know what?
Like,
I don't know a whole lot about Star Wars. I know most people do. Like surprisingly, I haven't
there
actually
are some
watched
people that
a
don't.
bunch.
I get it. You're one of them.
My
I'm not mad at
friends,
you.
you know, I have like a lot of my friends are Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Um, I probably would be too if I watched the movies, but I haven't
Yeah.
watched the movies yet. I actually don't watch a lot of movies either. Like
Yeah.
keeping up on things, like people are like, "Have you watched this or seen that?" I'm like, "No, I haven't seen anything."
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm in a similar boat. I don't keep
yeah,
up with what's trending very much.
me neither. I'm pretty behind on it.
However, I do watch the newer Star Wars things in Disney because honestly, they're the only good things that have come from Disney after they acquired Lucasfilm. All the
It's just not
movies
good
they made,
anymore.
the movies were terrible, in my opinion. Like the Mandalorian,
Yeah,
the Book of Boba Fett. Honestly, the
not
spinoffs
good.
are so much better.
Or they are good. Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
good.
funny,
At
but
least there's something quality coming out.
yeah, but like nostalgia part of me being nostalgic and like liking that stupid stuff. I got this, if you can see.
It's a Lego set too.
It's from
The mini builds.
2002.
So it's probably, and it looks like you haven't opened it out of the package, or is it
I
still?
opened it just like last week. My girlfriend got this
Oh,
for me
okay.
for Christmas, and it's literally when I was into like when I would be getting this stuff when I was younger. It's a 2002 set, and it's like it just
They're
like it's
probably
like
quite valuable now.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I imagine like these Star Wars Lego sets are pretty valuable, especially the older ones.
Lego anything is expensive, and like yeah, Lego Star
It
Wars stuff
is.
for
Lego
whatever
has
reason is
gone way
extremely.
up in price, just
Man,
like everything else. It's expensive.
I've
Can't
got
afford Lego
it's expensive.
anymore. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. That's why I regret selling my 4 boxes of
That's
Lego.
why you have your parents buy it for you when you're younger. It's like, I can't
E-
afford this. I want
exactly.
this.
But then you
Okay.
got to hold on to it.
Yeah. So me geeking out, being stupid, just always have like these things that come, like these stories that come like around. Like you forget
Right.
about something and then all of a sudden it comes back. So I remember like when I was younger, I'd geek out about these sets and the Lego catalogs and be like, I want it, I want it. Never had money. So I mean, I got some for like holidays and stuff like that, but there were some that were just so cool. And I just like I used to be in like kindergarten, like dreaming about this stuff.
Right.
So there was like this one set that was kind of a little bit more limited. It's valuable. It's stupid how much money some of the stuff can be. And it came with the Lego Django Fett. If you're at all familiar with any kind of
I've seen the characters before. I'm not like familiar with all the character
yeah,
names, but I
well,
I recognize the character.
they had this was like only for one set, and I got the whole entire thing when I was in my junior year of high school. I went to a flea market and they had it there. I'm like,
No way.
oh shit.
I gotta go buy this.
And I did. It was awesome. I got it for like $30. I was like,
That's a
woo!
pretty good price.
I think the
Shit.
figure's worth like at least $100.
God
So
damn.
it
Yeah,
was
I was gonna
like,
say like that's a
woo-wee.
steal of a deal.
Yeah. I don't know. I like geeking out about stupid shit.
I think I would say like the coolest Lego set I ever had was the NASA space shuttle
Really?
one, and it was like when I was a kid.
I
Like
never had
that
that
thing was,
stuff.
yeah, like that thing was the size of me, like because I was like 5 or 6, and like I would say it was probably, oops, it's backed into my furniture, but it's like it was that long
Yeah.
and like this wide,
That's
and
pretty
I could barely,
impressive.
yeah, I could barely pick it up as a kid after I built it. Like it's too heavy, and the top opened up and it had the space
That's so
arm and like
cool.
all this cool little like the control panels and the
Yeah.
cockpit, and it even had like rubber like tires of the landing gear that would pop out. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was really cool. I
That
don't even
sounds
know
really
if the
cool.
space shuttle, like I don't know if the landing gear, like I've seen pictures where like the space shuttle would land on top of one of these like jumbo jets, like, and they
Yeah.
would land. So I'm not sure how the landing gear works on, if it works like a normal plane.
Okay. I had an idea, and you are not obligated to follow through on this idea.
Okay.
This is just a little bit of a brain dump.
Okay.
But you know how everybody makes the joke about 240s being like the two pieces of Lego, the two bricks?
Oh yeah, there's like the 940 Lego kit, and it's just like two red
Yes.
blocks.
Yes. I'd like to see what you could do with the concept of Legos and a Volvo series car, like an actual design.
You know what? I actually know someone who, I don't know them like personally, but I know someone on Instagram who builds these.
I saw that
Uh,
too. But I'm talking about like
Do
an
you know Vancouver
illustration.
Brick Customs? Oh, an
Yeah.
illustration. Oh, okay.
Sean has one built of his car, which is really cool.
Yeah, was it from Vancouver? Must have
I
been from
think so.
Vancouver Brick Customs, and the house.
I think
He
so.
had his house built in Lego too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that guy lives in my city too. I
Really?
haven't met him before, but he's from Vancouver.
You
So
need to.
I know I've asked him like, hey, we should meet up sometime. I haven't hasn't got back to me yet,
Too
but
busy playing with Legos.
too busy playing with the Lego.
I
But
mean, I
his stuff is really
understand.
cool. Yeah, his stuff is really cool. But yeah, I think that would be a cool idea to like draw out a Lego version of it. Maybe we could like maybe I should like get in contact with Vancouver Brick Customs, like do a collab or something.
Yeah. Well, I was even thinking like, I know your style because you make the vehicle, yes, you illustrate the
Yes.
vehicle, but you also like the environment. I've had
Oh
this idea
yes.
for my car at one point for photo, was like, what if I photographed my car like in a white seamless and like placed it on like a block, like a step. It'd be like a step up and then like down like this. It'd be like that.
Right.
And then have like paint roll down and like have it just modular looking, but have the car like incorporated too. Like that's kind of like the vibe I got going with that, but like with Lego.
Right. That would be sick. I love that idea. Like I think there's so many ways you can approach it. Like and I've had a lot of my clients usually like they'll request like a background that exists in real life.
Yeah.
But there's the odd client once in a while that'll request like some abstract kind of crazy
Uh-huh.
background for like their cars. And it's a lot of fun to work on. Like I love working on both of them,
Sure.
but it definitely
what's up?
breaks things up.
Yeah, what's up? Sure, as long as you're not nude, I'm talking to my friend, but yeah. Can you fit that gap?
Yeah, I can do that. You're in the nude, I guess.
Hey, shh, it was supposed to be a secret.
Oh, sorry.
But well, it's been nice talking to you. I'm probably eating in everybody else's time too. It was
Don't
a
worry
lot of
about
fun
it.
talking to
You know,
you.
it
Dude.
was nice to finally meet you, I guess, online. Like, after following your page too for so long, like to finally get to talk in person has been awesome. And
Yeah.
like I've enjoyed talking with you, and it's
Mhm.
great to get to know you too,
Oh
like
yeah,
a little
I
bit
feel
about
like I
your
could
story.
ramble on forever. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
I'm
we
doing.
could.
I'm just
I could do
rambling on
that
about
too.
stupid
Like
stuff,
I
geeking
can
out.
always just talk like forever.
Yeah.
I mean, so can my friends talk to me forever. Then I'm like, oh, I need to get like this work done or something. And like
Well,
always,
time's already burnt.
yeah, time's already burnt. Like that's just how it is. And then I love talking with new people and
Yeah.
getting to know them. So
Well, if you
man,
want,
thanks.
we could do this again.
Absolutely. Let me know. Like it's an honor to be on the third person or the third
Of the
interview
Untitled?
podcast interview. Yeah, of the No Name Untitled podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's been a good time.
And my first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work, and I will talk to you soon.
Same
I'm
to
sure
you,
I'll
man.
be messaging you on Instagram at some point.
Hey, maybe one day we'll go on a cruise, like in
I
person.
would not be opposed.
I'll drive down to the US, so we could meet somewhere in the middle. Or maybe you come
Possible.
up to Canada one day.
I don't know Canada very well, so I can't say what province would be in the middle.
Nah, I would say like maybe like Manitoba.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. That sounds like a made up name.
It's like next to Ontario. Although
Okay.
Ontario is apparently the center of the universe, so
Alrighty. Well,
it's our
have a nice
joke.
night. I
You
appreciate
too,
it.
man. A pleasure talking with you, and
You too.
hope to meet you in person one day.
Definitely. Take care, dude.
You too. Peace
Bye.
out. Bye.